Welcome back to the program. It is 1:55 on a Thursday afternoon, bright sunshiny day out there. Gotta love this weather, right? I do. I know you do. It's gonna be a great night to actually get downtown and check out things at AHA, right? It's always nice downtown anyway at night, but AHA makes it extra special with this entertainment and things going on. Just closing thoughts on this issue of the landfill. I think and I hope we're going to hear more about this topic as we go forward. It appears at this point as we're not going to have a huge mayoral campaign for office this year. Charlie Perry's in there, and Mayor John Mitchell are in there. But I certainly do hope that this becomes an issue for discussion in the city council races as well, because this is an important issue. And again, I don't know that we reject this outright at this point, and we say, well, no, never ever can we support this. I think we need to find out more information, and I think we need to find out what other benefits there might be from this. But I can tell you on the surface, at least initially from what we have been told, this idea is not something that really benefits the city of New Bedford. Maybe it benefits, the mayor said, maybe 15 jobs. Quoting the mayor here, I don't think it will be a huge job created. We figure maybe 15 jobs or so, which, look, we'll take every job we can get. It's not like it's going to be a huge boon to the local economy. It just complements the other things that we have going on there now. And I mean, certainly the mayor is correct. We'll take any job, and we certainly do want to advance our role on the waterfront and in freight. No problem, no question. I mean, we've talked for a long time about wanting to be able to attract more freight business from our port. But with something like this, if it means that we have to accept the trash from Martha's Vineyard, parade it through our streets, and then dispose of it at our landfill, is it worth it? I mean, think of the distance between the State Pier and all the way out to the industrial park, or the business park as they call it, where the Craple Hill landfill is located. I mean, that's quite a distance that trash would have to traverse the city. And unless it's neatly packed in a leak-proof, smell-proof truck when it gets here, which is very unlikely, then you're going to have some issues. You're going to have some issues with odor, and you're going to have issues with people complaining about it. And certainly if the mayor is planned for having little niche shops and some outdoor cafes on that State Pier, if that does come to fruition. I mean, this is something we've been working really hard at, and the DCM has, of course, handed off its authority of that area now finally to mass development. And if mass development does go forward and develop that State Pier in the way that we want to see it developed, do you really want to have folks out there from tourists sitting out there having lunch and smelling trash driving by on the State Pier? I'm not sure that's exactly the image that we want for our State Pier and our downtown and our waterfront in general. So I really hope this issue, again, it's very preliminary stages at this time, but I do hope it gets a good vetting. And that's part of what we do here at WBSM. We allow you to call in and vet these issues and express your points of view. The mayor will be back on Wednesday, of course, midweek with the mayor. And we will, of course, have city councilors and council candidates and everybody involved in the decision-making process in the city will be coming on the program here and in the other programs with Brian and Phil over the next few months. And I think this is an issue that we need to find out where our candidates for public office stand on it. And if we can't find more of a benefit than what is being presented to us on the surface of this, then I think it's something we need to reject. And we need to say, look, nice try. We looked at this and, we thought maybe it could work for us, but it's just not the best fit for us, and move on to something else. I really don't think, at least from what I've heard about it so far, that it presents enough of a benefit to us to consider any further. Jeff Deal is on deck. He's with us right after the news. Stay tuned. You're listening to 1420 WBSM. News is next. We'll be back right after this. Stay tuned.
New Bedford's News Talk Station. New Bedford's News Talk Station. 1420 WBSM. New Bedford, streaming worldwide on the WBSM app and on WBSM.com.
From ABC News, I'm Daria Aldinger. A security briefing is getting underway in Bedminster, New Jersey, where President Trump is spending a working vacation.
Vice President Mike Pence traveled to Bedminster, New Jersey today for meetings with President Trump. And among their agenda items, a security briefing with National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster and White House Chief of Staff John Kelly. Kelly has been keeping tabs on North Korea, according to White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders.
General Kelly has been in constant contact with national security team.
North Korea is threatening to launch missiles off the coast of the American island of Guam. Lana Zak, ABC News, Washington.
As tensions rise with North Korea, Defense Secretary James Mattis makes a visit to California.
Mattis is here in California for 2 days, making stops at tech companies like Google. The main reason he's here, though, is to visit an experimental Defense Department unit headquartered in Mountain View, south of San Francisco. That unit provides money to companies to solve defense problems to benefit the U.S.
ABC's Alex Stone. Arizona Senator John McCain is proposing a new strategy for success in Afghanistan. He's calling for an increasing number of U.S. counterterrorism forces. Military officials, meanwhile, say ISIS is struggling.
ISIS does not have the same level of leadership it once had. They do not have the same level of grandeur. People just no longer want to come and join these terrorists. And they do not have the resources they once had.
Colonel Ryan Dillon, an unarmed Russian military jet, flies over Washington. The jet making passes for the Pentagon, the Capitol, and the White House. Officials say it was allowed under the Treaty of Open Skies, which promotes transparency about military activities. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards signing a declaration of emergency for New Orleans. It follows a turbine failure after heavy rain, and forecasters say more rain could be on the way. That turbine is expected to be fixed sometime today. You're listening to ABC News.
Guys don't really talk about antiperspirant. Despite that, 91% of Dove Men Plus Care users recommend it. Here's what they said.
It blocks the, perspiration, I think is the fancy word.
It's comfortable. It smells nice. My girl likes the smell.
Well, it's hard. I think it's quite masculine. My underarms aren't the worst thing at the gym. It's kind of like the Hoover Dam from my armpits, I guess.
Dove Men Plus Care Antiperspirant. Tough on sweat, not on skin.
Dude, you look different.
Well, my body is glowing gold.
No, it's not that. Did you get a new shirt?
No, I joined the Fuel Rewards program at Shell and got instant gold status.
No, did you lose weight?
No, it's the gold status. I save 5 cents a gallon on every fill every day.
Got it. It's a tan.
Get rewarded with instant gold status at Shell with the Fuel Rewards program. It's free to join. So join now at fuelrewards.com/gold. Restrictions apply. Active gold status required. Introductory offer valid for 6 months after activation. Limit 20 gallons at participating Shell stations. See fuelrewards.com/gold for full details. Doesn't actually turn bodies gold.
Another car fire in New Bedford. From the Standard Marine Outfitters newsroom, I'm Tim Weisberg, WBSM News, 84 degrees and sunny skies. Your ABC 6 forecast coming up. Police and fire officials are investigating another fire in New Bedford that happened early Thursday morning. However, this fire was in the south end, unlike 3 suspicious fires reported earlier this week in the near north end. Police received a report of a motor vehicle fire at 1:44 a.m. Thursday in the 90 block of Jovette Street. When units responded, the front end of the vehicle was engulfed in flames and the fire could not be extinguished until fire apparatus arrived. No injuries were reported. Police would not say if the fire is considered suspicious, but did acknowledge it is being investigated. There have been 10 suspicious fires in New Bedford since June, including 5 car fires. The chair of the New Bedford City Council's Committee on Public Safety says with an apparent serial arsonist on the loose, it's the time for neighbors to stick together. Speaking with WBSM's Brian Thomas, Councilor Deborah Coelho says if you haven't introduced yourself to your neighbors yet, now is the time to do so.
Build some sort of a coalition to see who's who, and if people see anything, don't be afraid to report it. I think that's really, really important. And, you got to stick together on these things. Really take it very, very, very seriously and see, where it goes next.
Coelho urges residents to take the time to make sure their smoke detectors are in working order and their fire extinguishers are up to date. Coelho assures the public that the arsonist will be caught. A New Bedford man who punched an off-duty Fall River police officer in the face with brass knuckles, causing serious facial injuries, has been indicted on assault charges. The Herald News is reporting that 19-year-old Calvin Copeland was recently indicted by a Bristol County grand jury on charges of assault and battery on a police officer, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon causing serious bodily injury, carrying a dangerous weapon, and assault with a dangerous weapon. Copeland punched the officer after the officer tried to break up a fight in which Copeland was engaged, in which he also assaulted another man with a hunting knife. Copeland will be arraigned in Fall River Superior Court on August 29th. While he couldn't cite specific numbers off the top of his head, Mayor John Mitchell says despite what some residents may think, the Feast of the Blessed Sacrament footed a large part of the bill for last weekend's festivities. In his weekly appearance on WBSM, Mayor Mitchell confirmed that the Feast Committee picks up the tab for all of the police details and that they contribute a good amount to the DPI services involved as well. He says it's okay if the city picks up some of the costs because it's good for New Bedford to have things like festivals that bring people to the city.
When we provide those services, somebody's got to pick up the tab, and you only have two choices. It's either taxpayers or it's the organizations that host the events. And so, what we try to do is strike the appropriate balance between the two.
Mitchell acknowledges that event fees have been a controversial topic in the city, but that his goal is to make sure it is fair for everyone who wants to put on an event or a festival. News time now, 2:05 in WBSM Sports. The Patriots raise the curtain on preseason play tonight. New England opens its exhibition schedule against the Jaguars in Foxborough. Kickoff is at 7:30 with the pregame on WBSM beginning at 4:30. The Red Sox open up a 3-game series with the Yankees in the Bronx tomorrow.
ABC 6 Forecast is brought to you by the Old Gristmill in Seekonk. The Old Gristmill's 25th annual lobster feast going on all summer. Check out more than 25 different lobster specials. The Old Gristmill, 390 Fall River Ave in Seekonk.
Mostly sunny this afternoon. Another really nice day out there. Temperatures topping out in the upper 70s to low 80s. We head through tonight will be partly clear. Some patchy fog possible. Overnight lows in the upper 50s to low 60s. Tomorrow we head into the morning and we see some sunshine through the afternoon. A few clouds possible, so partly sunny tomorrow afternoon. High temperatures right near 80. From the ABC 6 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chelsea Priest on New Bedford's News Talk Station, 1420 WBSM.
84 degrees with sunny skies right now. I'm Tim Weisberg, WBSM News. The news at 2 brought to you by Standard Marine Outfitters, now open on Pope's Island. We update the news throughout the day on New Bedford's News Talk Station, 1420 WBSM, and online at WBSM.com.
Live from 1420 WBSM, this is the Barry Richards Show. Get on the air now by calling 508-996-0500. Read Barry's latest blogs on WBSM.com and follow along on WBSM's award-winning Facebook page. Real New Bedford people, real New Bedford topics. It's time to get real with the Barry Richards Show on New Bedford's News Talk Station, 1420 WBSM.
Where it began, I can't begin to knowing, but then I know it's growing strong. Wasn't the spring, and spring became the summer.
All right, welcome back to the program. It is now 2:08 on a Thursday afternoon. Sun shining brightly on this AHA Thursday. Lots going on in downtown tonight. Hopefully I'll see you down there. We've got the Patriots today. Patriots preseason game, as you just heard Tim mention in the newsroom. Our first preseason game of the season, the Jaguars and the Patriots. Pregame starts at 4:30, and the kickoff is at 7:30, and we've got it for you right here on WBSM. And then we've got the Red Sox at Yankee Stadium for the next 3 days right here for you on WBSM as well. All right, we are awaiting the arrival of Jeff Deal. Just got off the phone with Jeff. They are en route. They're running a little bit behind, going to be here fairly shortly, and we're going to have Jeff Deal in studio. Of course, Jeff Deal, the Republican state representative from Whitman, who was among the first to announce that he is a candidate challenging Elizabeth Warren next year, the senior senator from Massachusetts, who has yet to meet with President Trump, has yet to even speak with him 7 months into his new administration. So as soon as they arrive, we're going to get them right in studio, and we're going to get them right on the air so that you can give a shout out to Jeff, or maybe ask a question or make a comment or whatever. And what we're looking for is your reasons why we need a change in Washington, and why you would be excited to have Jeff Deal represent us in Washington. Don't forget now, Jeff Deal worked as the one of the top campaign officials in Massachusetts for President Trump. So immediately hitting the ground, we would have a guy in Washington that not only supports the Trump agenda, but can talk to the president. He knows the president, and would be able to get things done for Massachusetts, where up to this point, as I just mentioned, and I continue to mention it as often as I possibly can, Elizabeth Warren, the Democrat incumbent U.S. Senator, has yet to even speak to the president after 7 months in office. So those are your options. Those are your choices right there. I mean, if you want healthcare reform, if you want tax breaks, if you want immigration reform, if you want the wall built, if you support these ideas, you want to send somebody to Washington that's going to work with the administration to get these things done. You're not going to send somebody to Washington who's going to be shrill and shriek at the president and do everything within her power to disrupt the president's agenda. If you support the president and his agenda, you want people in Washington to represent you who are going to support the president's agenda. Not only that, you want people in Washington who are going to represent you as a Massachusetts resident. Now, I've been asking this question for days now. And this is not just something I'm making up on hearsay. The Senator Warren, stated in an interview earlier this week on Greater Boston on WGBH that she has yet to speak to the new president. Now, how does that benefit you? How does that benefit me if our senator refuses to speak to the president after 7 months? How is that representing our interests? So, again, those are the decisions you've got to make. All right, we can pick back up. We're talking about a couple of other topics while waiting for Jeff to get here. We can pick up on the this whole trade thing that we've been talking about. The mayor suggesting yesterday that we are in the preliminary stages of an arrangement to ship freight from New Bedford, whether it be the Commerce Terminal or the State Pier, to the islands, most specifically the Vineyard, perhaps Nantucket as well. In exchange, though, we might be required to take Martha's Vineyard trash and have it land at the State Pier in trucks and then be shipped from there through the city out to the Crapo Hill Regional Landfill that we share with Dartmouth. And I'm just not sure that the benefits are there to make this a good deal. So we'll get your thoughts on that if you'd like to continue on that discussion. Also, the topic of North Korea has been out there every day. We've been talking about that, and I know many of you are supportive of the administration's tough talk with North Korea. The president talking about fire and fury, the likes of which the world has never seen, if North Korea continues to threaten us with nuclear weaponry. And Kim Jong-un suggesting this morning that he is going to lob 4 missiles at Guam next week to land. The intent is to land them in the water surrounding Guam. Japan said if anything is launched, that it has the capability of taking them out of the sky. So that would add a whole new dimension to all of this. And your thoughts on that. And we're going to talk with Jeff Deal when he gets here, too, about the RAISE Act, which is the immigration a bill that was announced last week by the administration and several members of Congress. And it turns out that while Democrats in the media have been really railing against this idea, it seems as though polls are showing that there's widespread support, not only from Trump supporters, but from people on the other side who support much of what the RAISE Act is calling for. The poll was conducted by the Morning Consult Politico, and it's asking folks its thoughts whether they support the bill's provisions to allow more high-skilled and fewer low-skilled immigrants into the country, install a points-based system by which prospective immigrants would be evaluated on the basis of English proficiency, level of education, and other factors, and cap the number of refugees allowed into the U.S. each year. Also reduce the total number of immigrants given legal permanent residence in the U.S. to 500,000 from the current 1 million. And a strong majority support the first 3, and a plurality support the 4th. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. In the meantime, 508-996-0500. Let's get back to your calls. Appreciate you waiting. You're next on WBSM.
Top of the afternoon to you.
How are you, my friend?
Good. Save your breath on the freight running from New Bedford. It's never going to happen.
Okay.
It's not going to happen. The steamship had plenty of chance to do it. They won't do it because it doesn't make money. It's impossible to make money. It would cost way, way, way too much to haul them trucks back and forth from New Bedford. It'd be like a 2.5-hour ride, which means it's at least a 5-hour gig to send a truck driver from New Bedford to the island and back again, unless they run 2 boats and cut it into 2.5 hours. But you're not going to see it happen. Now, I know that they're consulting with a private carrier from the island who currently hauls trash off the island, and I guess they're having them look as a contractor doing it.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. It would cost 10 times the money it costs now to get rid of it.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, for years and years and years, all sides involved in this have been trying to find a solution to the traffic problems that exist on the Cape as a result of all of the freight shipping that goes from, between there and the islands. And so they've been looking for a solution to this. But you're right. I mean, it would be a much longer journey between New Bedford and the island than it would be from Falmouth or Barnstable or whatever. I think it's Falmouth, right? They go out of Falmouth.
The Woods Hole, Falmouth.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so it would be considerably more cost, no question.
Absolutely. From Woods Hole to Vineyard Haven.
Yeah.
It's a 40, 45-minute ride at the most.
So how do they solve this problem? I mean, again, they've been debating this for years.
Here's the problem, Barry. You know what the problem is? In the Woods Hole and Falmouth area, you have a bunch of stupid people with a lot of money who bought property down in Woods Hole, down in Falmouth, knowing that the steamship has been there since, the 1800s? You know? And, now they're upset because, the boats leave at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, the whistles are blowing, trucks are coming down the hill to get on the boat. Well, you know what? You should have researched your area before you bought your house a lot better.
Yeah, that's like, building or buying a house near an airport and then complaining about the planes.
Yeah. Like the guy in South Dartmouth bought a house next to the fire station, then complained about the fire alarm going off.
Yeah, right.
I mean, how stupid can you be?
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, that is true.
They're putting pressure on the steamship. They want to change the schedules, and we can't do that because we lose a ton of money. There's people that have to get to work on the island, for 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and that's the whole problem. You just got a bunch of idiots raising hell because they don't like the noise, they don't like the trucks that go by their house to get down to Woods Hole. Sorry, that's the way it's been forever. That's the way it's always going to be. Honestly, I don't think you'll ever see any kind of agreement made. It's just way too expensive.
Appreciate your call. Thank you, sir.
Good one.
All right, let me take a break. We're due for break number 1. We'll do that. Again, we're awaiting the arrival of Jeff Deal. He's making his way here. Got tied up a bit, and we did speak on the telephone while the 2 o'clock news was on, and said they're making their way here. He should be in studio fairly soon, and then we'll open it up for your phone calls to express your support or maybe ask some questions or whatever you have to say for Jeff Deal. So stick around. That's coming up in just a bit right here on 1420 WBSM.
New Bedford's News Talk Station, 1420 WBSM.
Trade in your old vacuum at Handy Andy's in New Bedford and get a new Handy Andy's quality vac. We make the best new vacuum you'll ever own. Hello, I'm Andy. Our vacuum is easy to use and built to last and comes with Handy Andy's amazing service and guarantee. You can vacuum your carpets and floors and it picks up pet hair and sand. With our lightweight extra long hose, you can reach all the way up the stairs. Take your trade-in vacuum to Handy Andy's in New Bedford and see me, Henry and Paul, for amazing service and quality vacuums since 1959. Buy your new vacuum at Handy Andy's.
Are you in need of a new kitchen and trying to stay on budget? Let Fairhaven Lumber help you reach your dream. Mike and Melissa Bergeron will be glad to meet you at your home at no charge and assist you with designing your new kitchen. Fairhaven Lumber has cabinetry for every need and budget, specializing in all wood cabinetry and solid surface countertops. Before you make any decision on who will do your kitchen and bath makeover, visit Fairhaven Lumber and see their beautiful new cabinetry displays. 120 Alden Road, Fairhaven. Visit fairhavenlumber.com.
For more than 25 years, people of the South Coast and beyond have trusted Toyota of Dartmouth to care for their Toyotas. With a fully enclosed drive-in, 26 dedicated service bays, extended service hours, and a Fall River shuttle that runs daily, your Toyota service will be quick and convenient. And this month, visit our website for special service offers. Just print them out and bring them in. It's that easy. For a complete list of service offers, visit toyotaofdartmouth.com. Toyota of Dartmouth, South Coast's dealer of choice.
You've got skills, so why not make money with those skills? Can you mow a yard, clean a house, hang a flat screen TV, haul off some junk? Well, check out Tackle.com. That's TAKL.com. Tackle is an amazing new app that connects people who can perform small jobs and chores with customers who need them done. And the Tackle app is coming to cities all across America soon. Go to Tackle.com to see where Tackle is launching next. Just complete the 6 easy steps to register, and you can be your own boss, set your own hours, and make great money as a Tackle provider. The Tackle app is revolutionizing the way people get things done. Go to Tackle.com today and sign up. Stop thinking about making money doing what you love and start doing it. with Tackle. Sign up to be a tackle provider now at tackle.com. Tackle.com. That's TAKL.com.
When it comes to finding a trustworthy company for roofing, siding, and windows, so many of my close personal friends recommend Louis Macedo of LM Roofing, who offers 0% down and 100% financing. Louis Macedo and LM Roofing will replace your roof expertly for a very fair price. I've seen Louis' work, and I'll tell you, you're hiring a reliable, dependable, and honest man with Louis Macedo and LM Roofing. For a free estimate, call 508-989-4211 or visit lmroofs.com.
1420 WBSM. We are New Bedford.
Welcome back. 2:21 is our time, and welcome back to the program. Hey, our Brews and Barbecue event is back this year, and the food this year is absolutely amazing. One ticket gets you pulled chicken, pulled pork, tacos, baked beans, coleslaw, and cornbread from Becky's Real Barbecue and Great Northern Barbecue of Providence. Come chow down at Brews and Barbecue on September 23rd at Running Brook Vineyards in Dartmouth. That's just 5 minutes from the Dartmouth Mall. Tickets are on sale now and must be purchased in advance. No tickets will be available at the door. You can get them online at fun107.com or WBSM.com as well. And hope to see you there, right? That's coming up. September is, boy, that's just right around the corner. There's no question about that. All right, we are anticipating the arrival of Jeff Deal, U.S. Senate candidate. He is on his way and should be here fairly soon. And as soon as he gets on, gets here, we'll get him right on the air with you. Just want to say welcome to those of you who are watching us on WBSM.com, stream live, or on our Facebook page, or on the WBSM YouTube. How you doing out there, folks? And stay with us, and we promise you we'll get Jeff Deal to you just a little bit. So we're talking a little bit about some local issues, and we got some national issues that are brewing out there too. And just before the break, alluded to you about the situation that is unfolding with North Korea. And obviously a very serious situation, and the administration is taking it perhaps more serious than any administration in recent memory has. And the administration has made it clear to North Korea's Kim Jong-un that you guys are messing with the wrong. You're messing with the wrong guy here. We're not Barack Obama, and we're not even George Bush. And we're certainly not Bill Clinton. We're not going to give you nuclear material. We're not going to allow you to get away with, shaking us down for things. The sanctions are on. The sanctions are tough. China and Russia supposedly are involved in honoring the sanctions as well, or will be. And, the president later read out on the line this week when he said, look, you keep up the nuclear threats and fire and fury, the likes of which the world have never seen before. And Mad Dog Mattis indicating that they had better change course or they face a definite regime change as well as the destruction of their population. So a lot at stake here right now. And you are also hearing from the Japanese. Earlier, we heard from North Korea, which stated that 4 missiles would be launched in the direction of Guam sometime in mid-August. Well, we are in mid-August, right? It's already August 10th. So sometime, presumably in the next week, if North Korea follows through with its threat, it will fire 4 missiles at Guam. They're saying that the missiles would land in the water around Guam. Japan stepped up and said, you know what, we've got the capability of taking those missiles out, and we certainly will do it. So that's interesting because that brings a whole new level to this. and the Japanese now threatening military response to the North Koreans. So, it's interesting to see the reaction from a lot of folks who have really not been very vocal in past years about how Kim Jong-un and North Korea in general has continued to pursue nuclear weapons and continue to build up its capability to be a threat to the United States and so on and so forth, now are looking at this president and suggesting somehow or another that once the North Koreans have threatened us with nuclear weapons, that somehow or another we're looking for it, and this administration is at fault and could cause World War III. When the same rhetoric has been used, maybe to a lesser degree, over the course of prior and previous administrations too. So it's a very serious situation. There's no question about that. And we're going to see what happens next. I mean, I've been asking the last couple of days, who takes the next step and what exactly is that step? I know yesterday some of you suggested that Kim Jong-un takes the next step. And we respond, if he fires another missile, whether it be a test missile or whatnot, that we respond by taking it down and then seeing what happens from there. So I don't know. I mean, there's still a lot very fishy about all of this, and I have deep concerns about Iran and what Iran is doing and how Iran might be involved in all of this as well, and whether or not there's something that exists, some type of a plan between Iran and North Korea that might be executed. So we'll see how that all works out. Let me take my second break. We're going to do that. We're going to come right back. And if you'd like to weigh in on North Korea or this deal that we're talking about with the freight shipment out of New Bedford, let's do that. We'll come right back after this.
Patriots football is back on 1420 WBSM. Every Hightower sack, every Brady to Edelman touchdown, every Belichick scheme.
Got to get around and contain that quarterback now.
All the Patriots' pride is right here. The New England Patriots on 1420 WBSM. Brought to you by Primacare, Sonic of Somerset and Stoughton, Fisher Bus, Frugal Franks, and Max's Restaurant on 1420 WBSM.
Our community nurse rehab therapy team is ready to deliver quality physical, occupational, and speech therapy services in the comfort of your home. Community Nurse was voted top choice for rehab services by the readers of South Coast Today and exceeds the state and national averages for improved mobility, improved ability to perform self-care tasks, and decreased falls. With care through Community Nurse, your future independence and a better quality of life is possible.
When it's time to choose an agency for rehab therapy, remember, it's your choice. Ask for Community Nurse. Getting sick isn't fun. Recovery isn't always easy. Staying well can be difficult, and no one should face advanced illness or end of life alone. Sometimes we all need a little help. Community Nurse Home Care provides award-winning home care, private care, rehab therapy, hospice, and wellness programs. Named one of the country's top 500 agencies with 4.5 stars for outcomes and 5 stars for patient satisfaction, when it's time to choose a home care agency, remember, it's your home, it's your health, it's your choice. Ask for Community Nurse.
Sandpiper Healthcare is sponsoring a free family fun day at their Bedford Gardens location on Saturday, August 26th from 11 to 3. Activities will include a car show, a live animal show, crafts, an obstacle course, and a cookout. Bring the kids and have fun at Bedford Gardens, 4586 Acushnet Ave in New Bedford, Saturday, August 26th from 11 to 3. For a tour of any of their locations or more information, please call Sandpiper Healthcare today at 508-990-1133 or visit sandpiperhealthcarema.com.
Would you like to save or invest for your future? Save or invest for your retirement? Save for your children's education? Call Jose Matos, 508-678-3715 of Advanced Financial Group at 725 State Road in Westport, Mass. As a financial consultant since 1989, I have experience in setting up 401ks, IRAs, and annuities for a variety of my clientele.
Securities and advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network, member NASD, SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
What goes better with baseball than hot dogs? Absolutely nothing. So this season, don't settle for anything but the best hot dogs from Gary's Best Hot Dogs. Gary's has been serving the best hot dogs for over 30 years. They're a local tradition. You can't go wrong with a Gary's hot dog. And with great toppings and the finest ingredients, it's steamed, mouth-watering deliciousness. Gary's Best Hot Dogs, voted #1 in the region, is located on Ashley Boulevard, just north of Tarkland Hill Road. Baseball and Gary's Best Hot Dogs, the perfect team.
Enjoy the pleasures of independent living at Whalers Cove Assisted Living. Whalers Cove offers the largest yet most affordable apartments in the area. Stop in for a tour to see how they provide high-quality living and care at such low prices, and you'll see no one can compare. Plus, they're staffed 24/7 and have the Philips Lifeline Auto Alert pendant system, so you'll feel safe knowing someone is watching out for your well-being. Whalers Cove Assisted Living, Riverside Avenue, Bedford. Online at whalerscove-assistedliving.com.
Finding great people to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's time to try ZipRecruiter, where 80% of jobs get a qualified candidate in just one day. How? Using powerful technology, ZipRecruiter matches your job to the right candidates fast. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/talk for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/talk.
Hello, beautiful. I'm Amy Errett, founder of Madison Reed, a hair color company I named after my daughter. One of the things I value most in life is time. Time to spend with my daughter, time to spend with family, and the time I put into my company that's reinventing the way women color their hair. The busiest, most successful women I know use Madison Reed, the amazing hair color hack. In under an hour and for less than $25, Madison Reed delivers gorgeous, shiny, multi-dimensional, healthy-looking hair with an ammonia-free formula. You'll look like you just came from a salon, but the reality is you have more me time to do what you love. Things get busy. Let us take care of you and your hair. Find your perfect shade at madison-reed.com and get 10% off plus free shipping on your first color kit. Use code HELLO. That's code HELLO. Try it. Love it. That's the beauty of Madison Reed.
1420 WBSM. This is the Barry Richards Show on New Bedford's News Talk Station.
But it's 2:32, and what goes up must come down. And yeah, we sent someone up to Washington, or maybe down to Washington a few years back, and she hasn't done the job, so it's time to bring her down and send somebody new to Washington. Republican Jeff Deal is with us in the studio right now. Jeff, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Barry, thanks for having me in, and thanks to the audience for listening.
Yeah, no problem. So how's it going out there?
Well, I was just mentioning off the air as I came in here, it's extremely busy, which is a good problem to have. We had the kickoff last Tuesday in my hometown of Whitman. My daughter was able to introduce me, which was a nice thing. Hundreds of people there. John Dennis, a former radio host in the morning, actually was the MC, and we actually found out that Kurt Schilling endorsed us on the same day. So, things kind of accelerate pretty quickly once you make this move into running for the U.S.
Absolutely.
Senate.
And Kurt Schilling was considering a run for the spot himself. So
he was.
He's endorsed you for it.
That's right.
Yeah, he's got a following. He's got a political following as well as a sports following, too. And I bet you know who Kurt Schilling is, because we've had so many
He did not
Democrats.
pitch for the Yankees.
No, he didn't pitch for the Yankees. That's what it was. Yeah, there you go. So Jeff Deal, a Republican state representative from Whitman, and he has a history here in New Bedford. He used to work at Poignant Science here in New Bedford, right?
Exactly. It's funny. I was driving down. I passed Kyler's Seafood. I actually did that big sign on the side of their building, that huge Kyler's Seafood.
Oh, no kidding.
That was one of the things that I had done. That retail operation they have next to the factory, the processing plant. That retail, we did the sign over that as well. So really nice to see one of my old signs still holding up.
Still working, right? 508-996-0500 is the phone number if you'd like to call if you have a question or a comment for Jeff Deal. And I know personally I'm looking forward to next year's campaign. Many of my listeners are supportive of what you're doing and have expressed a great deal of disappointment in the job that Elizabeth Warren has done to this point. And it's amazing. We came across a story earlier this week. She was on WGBH's Greater Boston program, and she was being interviewed by whoever the host of the program was, I don't recall at the moment, but was being asked about Deval Patrick, and Deval Patrick maybe running for president. And somewhere in the middle of that interview was a very revealing line that nobody else picked up on. And that line was that she has not yet spoken to President Trump. Trump has been in office 7 months now, and our senior senator has yet to have a conversation with the president. How is that representing the people?
Pretty astounding. In fact, our whole congressional delegation from Massachusetts consists of all Democrats, men and women, congressmen and women, Senator Markey and Senator Warren. Some of them protested the inauguration. Elizabeth Warren has gone one step further and has tried to block every single nominee to Trump's administration, including just the other week, last week, an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote for the new FBI director. She voted against, one of 5 people. She not only is unwilling, it seems, to speak to him, and by the way, she wouldn't shake Betsy DeVos's hand after she was had her hearings with the Senate for confirmation as Secretary of Education. This is somebody who clearly does not want to work across the aisle to deliver for the state of Massachusetts. And I should remind people that we had a senator at one point who was a Democrat. He was called the liberal lion of the Senate. That was Ted Kennedy. But when elections were over, he would work with a Republican president. He would work with a Republican governor to deliver for the people of Massachusetts. We are doomed as a state if Elizabeth Warren continues on as U.S. Senator down there, because she will have no relationship with the administration. And that's really what's most alarming to me with her running. And the other thing, too, is it looks to me, based on the amount of time she spent out of our state, fundraising for fellow Democrats around the country to try to, help them, make connections with them, to get support down the road, and fundraising for herself. I mean, she has over $11 million, I believe, in her war chest. She's been working on it since she's gotten in office. She's been building that war chest up, yet has yet to deliver for Massachusetts in any substantial way, in any way with anything she's filed to help financially Massachusetts. She's written 2 books in office, made $1.6 million for herself personally, but hasn't delivered for us. It's time for someone to go down to Washington that's going to work for the people of Massachusetts, not just for a far-left political ideology, and for herself, which is just building up her profile to run for president, using Massachusetts as a stepping stone.
Well, as you know, the New Bedford economy really largely depends upon the fishing industry. And our fishing industry has been pounded in recent years between federal regulations.
The monument status.
The monument status that was declared by Barack Obama. And Liz Warren has yet to even take a public position on whether she thinks that monument status is good or bad for the industry. And I know many in the fishing industry are waiting to hear her say something about this.
Yeah, no, I think that was a total mistake. And the fact that she's not weighing in now, which something that could certainly help influence changing that policy. I mean, I know that President Trump right now has a commission looking at getting rid of some of these monument statuses. She should be weighing in immediately, saying, yes, take this one right off the table. And, you also have the issue, as you're well aware, I'm sure, and your listeners are well aware, obviously, of 42 potential federal fishing licenses at risk in New Bedford because of Carlos Rafael and his situation going on. She has yet to weigh in, I believe, on any of that proceedings where other states are looking to have them reapportioned. There's a Maine organization, a fishing organization, that is trying to convince Washington to take those 42 and redistribute them outside of Massachusetts. We need them in our state. We need them in New Bedford to make sure we maintain those fishing licenses, because it's not about any one person like the Codfather. It's about the families of the fishermen. I think it's like 242 I heard was a number, fishermen and their families depend on those licenses to keep their income coming in to support their work.
Well, that would be a significant blow, and I know the mayor has been working hard to try to convince Washington to keep those licenses here, and it would be helpful if we had a U.S. senator who could knock on the president's door and say, hey, here's what we need and here's why we need it. And again, she won't even speak to the guy.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, look, I've met the president. I know the governor of Massachusetts, Charlie Baker, who I think will have a good shot at re-election here. I know those two players. I certainly would be able to have a much better seat at the table on delivering for this state. And I think that people in Massachusetts are starting to become aware of the fact that Elizabeth Warren seems to be completely about obstructing anything about moving America forward. We voted for change in 2016, including states like Pennsylvania, which had always favored Democrats, Michigan, Wisconsin. We moved away from that. People looked at Donald Trump beyond party and said, look, this guy's challenging people who are Republicans, for gosh sake. He's trying to deliver for the American people. That's what I want to do, deliver for the people of Massachusetts.
Well, it's interesting, too, because you're absolutely right. I mean, folks who voted in this election and gave Donald Trump a chance in the presidency did so because they weren't following traditional party lines, but because they wanted change. They had an agenda, and he shared many items on that agenda with them, the forgotten man, the forgotten woman, and he went to Washington to bring about change.
20,000 Democrats unenrolled in the primary to vote for Donald Trump in a time when it was between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, it was a 50-50. She won barely by percentage points. So it wasn't Democrats playing games with the election primary there. 20,000 Democrats, according to the Secretary of State, unenrolled to vote for Donald Trump because I think they said he is beyond party lines. And it was very clear during that primary that the National Republican Party was doing everything they could to keep him from being the nominee as well. They were working with...
well, now they're working to prevent him from getting his agenda done. And it's difficult to watch that many of these Republicans who he carried across the finish line on his back are now working against him. And to listen to Mitch McConnell this week, the Senate Majority Leader, suggests that Trump has, quote, excessive expectations, that he is not in the game, he doesn't know the game, and it's extremely irritating that Congress has earned the reputation of not accomplishing anything. He's frustrated that the president is putting pressure on Congress to get something done. That's why you're there, to get something done.
Yeah, this is an embarrassment down in Washington, what's going on as far as the lack of effort to support him and the agenda that the American people put forward, whether it's fixing health care, which is broken. I mean, we voted for Scott Brown in Massachusetts in 2010 because he was going to be the 41st vote against Obamacare. He was right. The people of Massachusetts were right. Households haven't seen a savings of $2,500 a year. They have seen a massive increase in their premiums, in their deductibles, to the point where it's an unaffordable care act, and it needs to be fixed. Washington, the Republicans should have stepped up to the table and fixed that. That's one thing. Tax reforms on the table now. They better make sure that they work with the president on that. Americans right now, whether it's taxes or fees, we're getting killed, and businesses right here in Massachusetts are suffering from overtaxation, which prevents you from growing your business, which then prevents you from growing your jobs. When I worked at Poynt Signs, I got a chance to meet with mom and pop shops all over the place, whether it was Fall River, where it was Dartmouth, right down in New Bedford. I got to meet with business owners, talk to them about their dreams, their visions, about what they wanted to do, the product or service they wanted to give, because that was going to be reflected in their brand that we would put on their building. And so talking to them about their businesses, you know that it's a challenge. You have to invest capital. You have to invest time and labor. You have to write paychecks for other people. And to keep that going, we need government as a partner, not trying to just use people or businesses as an ATM for the next thing that the government wants to fund. And that's been really how Washington's been operating for way too long. Both parties have been guilty of neglecting the people that voted to put them down there, and they're all guilty now of not working with the president, of trying to deliver on reform that he promised, including, this border wall. It was very clear that people wanted to have a secure border, not just there, but also vetting those who come in and out of our country with that travel ban. It was going to take a chance to revisit how people are screened when they come into our country. Let's not forget that it was the marathon bombers, the Tsarnaev brothers, who were flying back and forth from Chechnya, their supposed country of refugee, and they were being radicalized while they were going back and forth, and ultimately caused the marathon bombing. It's clear now, we know that there was a failure between local law enforcement to pick up on the red flags that federal people were putting out there about them going back and forth to Chechnya. Now there's an effort in Massachusetts by politicians to try to make sanctuary status where local law enforcement, again, can't work with ICE officials to identify and deport those here illegally with criminal backgrounds. It seems to make no sense whatsoever. And Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions have been trying to make an effort to say no sanctuary status as well. And they may use economic pressure to try to make that happen. I agree with them. And by the way, you have a great sheriff, Bristol County Sheriff Tom Hodgson, who has been a leader on that issue. The fact is, we want immigrants in our country. We just want people coming here legally. Anybody who has immigrated, probably feels that they were duped if we're just going to allow people to come illegally and get all the benefits that they could have gotten had they not gone through the process themselves. So we want to make sure we have a legal immigration system that works for everybody, and at the same time allow ICE officials to do their job of keeping those who are here illegally with criminal backgrounds out.
Which brings us to the RAISE Act, and that was discussed. I think you and I spoke about this last week after you announced your candidacy. I mean, we've got the RAISE Act that's being proposed by some members of Congress and the president that would set strict rules, things that were just common sense a few years ago. You got to have English. You got to be able to support yourself when you get here. You got to have access to a job, once you're here, and so on and so forth. People automatically assimilate when they have those values when they come to this country, and they contribute economically rather than draw back from the country.
If we want to go,
this is getting pushback already.
If we want to go to other countries, if an American wants to go to another country, they have to prove that they have a certain amount of assets and a job before they go there. It's the same the door should be swinging both ways. It should be a two-way street. And it's funny, I think about this because what's old is new again, right? We used to have rail systems that would transport goods and people around the state or around the country. We moved to autos. Now we're trying to push.
What's rail? We don't have one of those around here.
Now they're pushing to get rail back, because it might be a more efficient way of doing things. 100 years ago, you used to be able to immigrate into the United States by going to your local district court, talking to the judge. You had 2 years by the time you were in the country to decide if you were going to be a citizen or not. And then you would have 3 more years to prove to the judge you had a job, a sponsor, knew the language. All the requirements they're talking about now were the requirements back then 100 years ago. And the judge could then swear you in on the spot once you prove that you met those requirements. That's all that we're asking, is people that come to this country are coming for the right reasons. That's all we want. And by the way, there's always been a quota on the number of people coming in from any one country. We've always set quotas. That's nothing new as well. We just have had a very porous southern border that has just caused a massive influx without any way to document them.
And just look around at the heroin and fentanyl that's all over the streets. And where do you think that's coming from? That's coming over the border with a lot of these folks that are just crossing at will. Right. And that's created quite a problem in this country, no question.
And Massachusetts ends up being a red carpet state for people coming here illegally because we roll out all the benefits with very little verification. It's caused major problems. In the past, we actually had at risk our driver's licenses of not being able to be used as ID to board passenger planes because the federal government was saying there was not enough integrity in the system to determine if people who had those licenses were here potentially as terrorists. That's how incredibly dangerous our situation had gotten.
That was the Deval Patrick administration, and he, by the way, is thinking about running for president.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, that's what we need, Deval Patrick and Liz Warren in Washington, right, at the same time. You realize there's a lot of people that are listening to this right now or watching this on Facebook or on our YouTube page or whatever that are saying, boy, this guy's a racist. He's a xenophobe. He hates immigrants. And he just, doesn't want immigrants here that just don't understand.
We're a nation of immigration. I mean, New Bedford has one of the biggest populations, of immigrants in the state. I mean, a lot of our big cities do. It's never been an issue about that. It's about people coming into our country, doing it the right way, doing it legally. We have to have some method by which we screen people and make sure they become citizens. And by the way, those people who are here illegally end up, it's very tough for them. First of all, they're working under the table a lot of times, so they're not going to be eligible for a lot of the benefits down the road, Social Security benefits, that if they became a naturalized citizen, they would become eligible for. So it's a workforce, that's being worked sometimes under the table at twice the hours, at half the rate, and it's bad for them. They're not going to get those long-term benefits like I mentioned, and they tend to be sort of taken advantage of by people who know how to put pressure on them, saying, unless you do this, sort of an extortion, I'll turn you in. So the illegal immigrant community, I think we all want to see that dry up and have them become the citizens that they want to be as well. I hope they all want to be citizens. That's the goal, is to have this big melting pot work for everybody.
Let's switch over to North Korea, a situation that's getting very, very dangerous in the last, it's been dangerous for a long time, but particularly so in the last few days. And very tough rhetoric coming out of Washington. The president saying you keep up the nuclear threats against us and you're going to see fire and fury, the likes of which the world have never seen. I think Kim Jong-un actually said something to the effect of "you're full of baloney" this morning, or something along those lines. So the medic got lost in the interpretation. But he's threatening to lob 4 missiles next week sometime in the direction of Guam. Japan says, well, we can take them out of the sky, no problem. So, I mean, we are getting to a point right now where I don't remember such harsh rhetoric, and I've been around for a long time, probably going back to the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, we're at a point right now where somebody with an itchy trigger finger could set something off here. How do we defuse this?
Well, it's tough to watch. I am glad to know the technology's out there and the capabilities out there to knock those missiles down, which allows us, if they do cross that red line, I suppose at that point it's going to be time for taking more dramatic action in North Korea. I mean, what we know now, too, is that they've got a lot of missiles along the border that basically target just about everywhere in South Korea, that once they're triggered, very little time, I think 2 minutes before that country becomes just a giant battle zone, which is terrible. But the other thing, too, I think there's other partners out there like China that don't want to see this turn into a conflict. China themselves has been sort of propping up the North Korean regime for a long time, just giving them enough food and enough resources to maintain the current control they have. I don't think they like the situation that's in North Korea, but at the same time, they don't want a massive migration of people from North Korea into China, because it would be something that would really overwhelm them in their capacity to try to handle that crisis, that whole humanitarian crisis that could ensue. So I think China needs to continue to be a partner with the United States on this in figuring out a long-term solution. And, I don't want the situation where we would have to park nukes in in partners in that region. I think that sends a bad message. But at the same time, we have to be ready to do something to deal with the leadership in North Korea that's doing this. I don't know if that's SEAL team action down the road or what. But again, I'm hoping that China decides that they're going to be a partner in this as well. And I think Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State under the Trump administration, obviously, by the way, as a side note, Eagle Scout, former Eagle Scout, ran the Boy Scouts of America. I'm an Eagle Scout as well, so really proud of having him doing the job that he's doing. I think he's created a lot more tranquility in the Middle East, and I'm hoping now he can find the solution over in North Korea as well.
Short of Kim Jong-un backing down, is there any way to stop this thing from moving forward? I mean, something's going to happen. I don't know what it is, whether he backs down or whether somebody fires something or does something. I mean, is there any way to defuse this short of him backing down? Can we throw him a bone? Is there? I
mean, we're talking about a guy who allowed, I'm not sure how it happened, but allowed a college kid to basically be almost murdered in his country for taking a poster off a wall, an American tourist. I mean, that's the kind of mentality of the person we're dealing with. And the other problem was that he's been sort of allowed to fester for a long time under previous presidential administrations. You've seen this kind of build up, and nobody's done anything to address the situation. I think, like everybody else, I'm not necessarily sure how this is going to play out, but I do think that the world is watching, and I think that if Kim Jong-un thinks that he's going to bully the United States, I think he's got another thing coming.
What about Iran? Iran's been awful quiet lately. As a matter of fact, last time we heard from the State Department, Iran seems to be cooperating, we're told, with the nuke deal that we signed with them. We know that the North Koreans and the Iranians have been exchanging information back and forth. And how concerned are you that they're a threat to be dealt with almost immediately as well?
Well, that's the problem. I mean, who is coercing the Kim Jong-un and the North Koreans to be doing this? And you wonder if it's Iran trying to push to see how far America will go to test themselves, because that was the other thing. The nuclear deal with Iran, which for a long time was proven to be a failure. They continued to develop the uranium. They continued to develop what we see as sort of a program to develop the nuclear weapons. We saw a huge cash payout, that ridiculous amount that pallet of American money dropped off in Iran to sort of buy them off with this Iran nuclear deal. It seemed to be, and it feels like they're sort of looking right now to North Korea to see how far we're willing to go as a country, and this may be a test for them as well to see what's going on.
Now, what about China? China obviously has been looming large on the stage too. They built those islands off of in the South China Sea, and they're basically
the Philippines, basically trying to pressure the Philippines out of an alliance with the United States. It's been another tricky one. I think China, if they were to continue to alienate the United States, either with North Korea not trying to help find a solution, or by continuing to pressure what were previously American partners in that region, I think they're going to alienate the United States to the point where we are their largest consumer of goods. I mean, you have to remember that all that they're producing, which is a lot, we are their largest customer. If Donald Trump decides that it's time to cut off or tariff or create an embargo on China for any reason because they're complicit in any of this that's going on, I think that's always something that's on the table. And I don't want to see that. I mean, they are a consumer of our goods as well. They're a trade partner both ways. But right now, the imbalance has been to the point where China's been benefiting much more greatly. And at the same time, we remember with the Paris climate treaty, the United States was going to be held to this ridiculous financial commitment, and China wasn't even going to be held to any standards till 2030, if at all. So China needs to come to the table in many different ways. And I think, again, trying to create some strength in the region would be an asset for the long haul. But again, we still have options. The United States always has options. And I think that Donald Trump has been just having negotiations right now on the it's not a budget, it's these continuing resolutions on how they spend money. Right now he's negotiating to try to make sure that our military gets more financial investment. It's been kind of decimated over the Obama years to the point where he doesn't feel, and I think the military doesn't feel, that they're ready to handle any of these major crises around the country, around the world, if needed. So I think making sure our military is strong is going to be a big part, and the commitment on Congress's part to make sure that our military remains strong is going to send a signal to China as well.
Where do your interests lie in terms of committee assignments? Where would you like to serve?
That's funny. When I first got to the state legislature up on Beacon Hill, I had a meeting with my minority leader, and I said that the two committees I really wanted to sit on were Ways and Means and the Rules Committee. And I ended up getting both of those assignments. And it was funny because Tip O'Neill, when he went down to Congress, wanted Ways and Means and Rules. And Ways and Means, I think, for people who don't know this, is probably the most powerful committee as far as the fact that everything that's spent by Beacon Hill or down in Washington, D.C., their Ways and Means Committee, that's where all budget requests go through. And so, to me, that gives you the best grasp on where dollars are being spent or misspent. And I was able to find out up on Beacon Hill quite a bit about where dollars were being misspent. That is
it's legendary.
I would say that's the committee to aim for, because it really gives you that immediate knowledge of what you can do to make an impact, not just down in Washington on curtailing wasted spending, but also making sure that Massachusetts gets a better share of what's going on. Right now, we are, for every dollar we're sending down to Washington, I think we're only getting back 67 cents, and that is not like what other states are getting. We are losing on the deal, generally speaking, with Washington, D.C., and yet we are one of the leading nations on states in the country on issues like showing people how education can be done. We were a world leader in education. In the medical field, we are a world leader. Massachusetts should be getting a much better share from Washington, and we need to have Washington be a better partner for us, here in the state on other issues, such as the fishing industry. Stop having NOAA continue to, impact in a negative way our fishing industry. Let's try to help. States like Maine have a very robust lobstering industry. Our lobstermen, as a side note, are having a real tough time just making money off the catch after they have to pay for the deckhand and the fuel out there, because the what they're making off their lobster catch is not what it needs to be.
You are still, for the moment at least, a member of the Massachusetts legislature representing Whitman, the Whitman area where you're from.
That's right.
A lot of my listeners are pretty PO'd about the pay raise issue, which I think we've talked about, and the fact that they will not get a tax-free.
Can you imagine that?
Tax-free weekend coming up this
Second
weekend.
year in a row.
Yeah.
Second year in a row that the Beacon Hill is not given a tax-free weekend, which puts us not competitive with New Hampshire, just gives us one crack at a time period in the year when retailers are struggling. August is a tough month for retailers. People aren't, back yet from vacations. They're not back into the fall routine of school and everything like that. And so what the sales tax holiday has always provided was a chance for retailers to jumpstart and keep people employed over the summer when they needed it. And it cost the state, and when I say cost the state, less tax received, roughly $20 million. Okay, now to put that in perspective, that pay raise, that legislative pay raise, was $18 million a year. So $18 million a year now going to increase your legislators' pay, which, by the way, I'm donating back the money that increased on my salary mandatorily, but I also voted against that pay increase and spoke on the floor against it because I said, what have the Massachusetts legislature done to try to earn that money? All I've seen since I've been up there is this attempt to try to increase the gas tax automatically without a vote, take that off their lap. They switched from what was working as a mass health system over to the Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare Act, and has been a financial disaster for us. What decisions have they made that made them earn this $18 million pay raise increase? And couldn't really get many answers in that debate. They just rammed it through on the first day that we were back in session. It was really audacious on their part. Something that I think they will likely be answering for in November, come election time, if we get people that run against them and bring this up as an issue.
Yeah, I mean, around here we get no competition, so we don't have any choices really. It's difficult. But another issue that is going to be coming up, and you guys get back, the $15 minimum wage. That's either going to go through you guys or it's going to wind up on the ballot. And I know I have a lot of small business people that listen to the program too, and they call in and say, "Look, they're killing us."
My guess is it goes to the ballot, and unfortunately that seems to be the way. The legislature is punting on these issues, and they should be saying no to this. And I'll tell you why. We're already at $11 an hour mandated by the state. Okay, so that's one thing. Secondly is $15 minimum wage it's a training wage. First of all, it's a summer job wage, and it's not $15. Minimum wage is supposed to just be a summer job wage and a training wage. We were contacted by groups like the YMCA, who employ a lot of young folks, and they asked for a carve out, and they got it so that they are exempt from that minimum wage increase. They still pay under, I think it's like $8.25, or they pay under the $11, just so you know, because they were given a special exemption because they proved that it's summer wages. Well, how about all the small businesses out here that would love to have had that carve out or not be subject to government telling businesses what they have to pay people. And that's really what the core issue is. You have government saying, here's what you have to do as a company, here's what you have to pay them. That's one. Then you have this new millionaires tax they're going to be putting on the ballot. I'm sure you were going to mention that. The millionaires tax says if you make over $1 million, and by the way, if you're an S corp like my wife and I, we own a small business. They take all the revenue from your company and they tack that onto your personal income and try to say that you're a millionaire. Okay, that is going to drive out people who can afford to leave the state. It will drive out money that knows how to be offshored. And at the same time, it's government saying you're going to make, companies have to pay this much. And then if you make more than this, we're going to take it. We're going to take the additional. The same thing. They wanted Common Core to be a national curriculum to tell you what your education is. And they want control of healthcare. They want to make sure that government's going to tell you what you can have for healthcare. They're going to have to ration it out. They don't want to tell you that part. They want to tell you that they want to control it to make sure everybody gets it. But when everybody gets it, let me tell you something.
Everybody's going to get it.
Yeah, they'll get it, but good. Like
we got to wrap it up.
Like Charlie Gard, that young infant from London, couldn't even leave the country to get help somewhere else when it was offered.
Got to wrap it up. Jeff Deal, appreciate you coming in. We'll talk a lot more, I hope, between now and the election.
Dealforsenate.com if they can make it. DIEHL for Senate.com.
All right, you're listening to 1420 WBSM News is next. Stay with us. We'll be back tomorrow.
Worldwide on the WBSM app and on